Hi, it's Penny here, and today I wanted to talk to you about some books that I thought I gave 5 stars. But recently, when I did a video ranking my 5-star books, I was like, where are these books? Why are they not on the list? And then I went back and had a look, and it turns out I didn't even rate them 5 stars. But when I look back on them, I think, well, those were definitely 5-star reads. So have I forgotten the things about them that meant I didn't give them 5 stars? Or were they actually 5 stars but only once I fully absorbed them into myself? Or is it something else? I don't know. But I wanted to talk to you about these books because I loved all of them and I want you to read all of them. So I've got 10 books here. The first 3 are books for kind of younger audience, and then we'll get into some more adult ones. So firstly, we have A Series of Unfortunate Events by Lemony Snicket, or Daniel Handler. So this series, I did give The Hostile Hospital 5 stars, but I'm very surprised that I only gave one book from that series 5 stars because the whole experience of that series was amazing. In the series, we follow the 3 Baudelaire orphans as they learn about a bit of a mystery with what happened with their parents and the organization that their parents were involved with, as well. In most of the books, they are moving from kind of relation to other strange situation where they just try and kind of survive and find a loving family situation, find somewhere where they can be safe. But what's really great about these books is just the way that it's written. It's so self-aware and humorous and clever. And I just look back so fondly on reading this series that I can't believe I didn't give more books in this series 5 stars. That's weird. Then we have Wolf by Wolf by Ryan Groudon. So this is the first book in a duology. It's kind of an alternate history where Germany won the war, the Nazis won World War II, and we're following this young girl. I'm trying to remember, does it say on the back? No, it's definitely a spoiler to say how she does it, but basically she is going on a bit of a mission to win this motorcycle race because the idea is that the winner of this motorcycle race will get to meet Hitler, and she would like to meet Hitler so that she can kill him. But there's kind of a more wolfy element to this story as well. Although I think also that's not the best thing about the story. It's the emotional journey of it. I often don't like historical fiction, even alternative history, and I really don't like stories about wars, but this is more of a story about kidnapping and motorcycle races and relationships. And the ending, I've seen some people say that they saw the ending coming. I did not. I loved it. And I really thought I gave this 5 stars. Maybe I've just forgotten the problems I had with it. Did I? I mean, to some degree, it's a YA romancy story. The romance is not the main part of the story, but it's definitely a significant part of the story. But also, I read this when that was less of an issue for me. So, who knows? Then as well, we have The Cursed Princess Club. So this is something I read on Webtoon, although it is now also being released in book form. And we're following the 3 pastel princesses who are betrothed to the plaid princes. But while the first 2 older sisters are classically beautiful princesses who sing to birds and have birds do their hair and other magical type things, the 3rd princess, Gwen, has green hair and green skin and has a possum for a pet, but she's a really lovely person. However, when the princes first meet the princesses, the youngest prince is very upset that his princess that he is betrothed to is not as beautiful, and as a result, Gwen ends up kind of running off into the forest where she meets the Cursed Princess Club, which is this club of princesses who are cursed and haven't been able to cure themselves of their curses. And just the way that everyone comes together to support each other through their different challenges, and the way that so many parts of the story come together, they seem like just silly little things in the beginning, but actually turn out to be really important later on. The way it all came together was amazing. I loved it. The humor is perfect for me. I didn't expect to love this as much as I did, but I did really love it. And only one of the books, I know I read the webtoon, but I went through as I was reading it and I picked books to represent different parts of the webtoon and rated them on Goodreads like that. I only gave one of them 5 stars though. Why was that? I love the whole thing. Why wouldn't I give the whole thing 5 stars? Am I an idiot? Maybe. Then we have The Echo Wife by Sarah Gailey. So this follows a woman who has invented cloning. But then she finds out that her husband is having an affair with her clone And this is a bit of a horror story to some degree, but it's also a story that really like investigates the impact that your childhood has on you, and like just the impact that your life has on creating you to be who you are. And like it's asking the question about what makes you who you are. And even though the story was relatively short, I think, I remember really liking it and being very engaged with the way that the story was being told. But I think maybe I must have forgotten something, because why wouldn't I have given it 5 stars otherwise? Then we have The Lies of Locke Lamora by Scott Lynch. So this is the first book in a series that is as yet unfinished, following Locke Lamora, who is a bit of a con artist, and he has this group of other con artists around him. The story is told kind of through flashbacks to his childhood as he learns how to be a thief. And then in his adulthood, as his band of thieves is working on a really big con, but things kind of go in unexpected directions. So the thing that I really loved about this is not only those unexpected directions, but also just the humor and the camaraderie between this group. But I do wonder with this one, there are things about the later books in the series that I really loved, and I'm wondering if having read those later books in the series have made me look back on this first book more fondly than I did when I first read it. And maybe that's why I didn't give it 5 stars. Who knows? If the 4th book ever comes out, and I'm not talking about whatever novellas we're supposed to be getting next year. If the 4th book in the series that has been lost for many years, not being released, if that ever comes out, I will reread the series and we will see how I really feel about it. Then we have The Girl with All the Gifts by M.R. Carey. So I gave the sequel book, The Boy on the Bridge, 5 stars. And I was like, where's the first book? So this is a book about a young girl, and in the introduction to the book, she is chained in a wheelchair, and she basically never gets to leave the wheelchair, and there's a bunch of other children in the same situation, and eventually we learn what's actually going on there. Like, why are the adults treating these children as if they are incredibly dangerous? And the way that that kind of plays out and the adventure that the characters go on was one that I really loved, but also I just loved some of the philosophy and the discussions throughout the book. And it is true that it's been a long time since I've read this, so maybe I've just forgotten what it was like, or maybe, in this case, maybe it's because my reading tastes have changed in a way where I would actually enjoy this book more than I did at the time I read it. So now when I look back on it and I think about it, I think of all the things I think I would love if I read it again. Maybe that's what happened with this one. Then we have The Fifth Season by N.K. Jemisin. Now, I will admit, in this series, the second and third books are not as good as this first book. But this first book is really great, so why didn't I give it 5 stars? What is this book about? In this, we're following 3 perspectives. One is an older woman who has come home to find her child has been killed. So definitely trigger warnings for that. And the reason for that is because she has this like earth magic. So this is in a world where there are constant apocalypses, and there are certain people who have this earth magic that in some ways should be really useful because they can help to protect people, but also can be very dangerous. And so they're generally treated very badly. So we're following this older woman as she tries to track down her other daughter who has been taken away. We're also following kind of a younger woman who is going to the school where they learn to use this earth magic and then kind of become enslaved to this organization. And then we're also following like a really young girl who's just been discovered to have these abilities and is being taken to the school. I think the most significant thing about this book is that each perspective is told from a different perspective. So the older woman's perspective is in second person, so it's all written in you do this, you do that. Then we have a third person perspective and a first person perspective, and the way they all kind of come together at the end is so wonderfully done. It's also like tragic and emotional and awful, and like if you don't feel a gut punch at what happens near the end, then I don't know, you're tougher than me. But this was an amazing piece of fiction. Why wouldn't I give it 5 stars? Then we have Amatka by Karen Tidbeck. So this is a really weird book, and I really love weird things at times. So this is one, in this world, things have to be constantly named, or otherwise they will lose their shape and turn into this like grey goo stuff. And we're following this woman who is like a product researcher. So she's gone from one colony to another one to, I think, talk to them about what kind of hygiene products they need so they can work out, you know, what they might be able to sell there. I've never really seen a book anywhere else where that was the profession of the main character. So while she's there doing her job, she's also kind of learning more about this mystery. There's something that's going on. I think there was a fire or something, but no one's allowed to talk about it. And she sort of starts going behind the scenes and investigating what actually happened. And things get really twisty at the end. Now, I will admit, I think at the end it was also a little bit confusing. Maybe that's why I didn't give this 5 stars. But I also know that I love this. Like every moment of this. And if you want like a really specific recommendation, if you have eczema, I would recommend this book. Anyway, I love this, so I should have given it 5 stars. Then as well, we have The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. Everybody loves this book. I loved it too. I thought it was beautiful. We're following these 2 magicians who have set up their students to kind of have a magical competition, but the magic is in this night circus, which is basically just the circus that travels around, turns up at night, has these really magical things going on. The magic, though, is always very abstract and unclear, but also always beautiful. But somehow it also manages to be this really emotional story. But the main thing is just the writing is beautiful, and everything that's happening in this book is beautiful and mysterious, and I loved it, and I don't know why I didn't give it 5 stars. Was it the romance? Was I put off by the romance? That sounds like me. Then, lastly, we have Assassin's Apprentice by Robin Hobb. Now, if you know me, you know I love Robin Hobb. I have a whole Robin Hobb shelf here, and this is the first book in the realm of the Elderlings, which I love. Again, see Exhibit A. So we're following Fitz, who is this young boy, the bastard son of the king in waiting, and when he shows up at the kingdom, he ends up being trained to be an assassin and goes on also kind of this big magical journey. He's not really wanted in the kingdom, so there's a lot of conflict there, but also he's just trying to do his best for his kingdom a lot of time, even though they don't treat him particularly well. But the story of this young boy going through such tragic things is so heart-wrenching, and like, given how much I loved the realm of the Elderlings, I read 15 books, I think. I think it's 15 books for this series. Would I have done that if I didn't really like the first book? I gave it 4 stars. I did give it 4 stars. But I just question, why didn't I give it 5 stars? Did I actually not love the first book, but then just continue because I'm a completionist, and then end up loving the series in the end, and then just assuming that I would have given this 5 stars? Who knows? Anyway, let me know if you've read any of the books I talked about in this video. I would love to know if you gave them 5 stars. Also, let me know if there's any books that you think you gave 5 stars, but maybe you actually didn't. Maybe go have a check, because you might be surprised like I was. Do subscribe if you'd like to see more of my bookish videos. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching. I hope that you are doing well, and I will see you next time.